This is the Volkswagen Tiguan, only it's slightly bigger, so it's called the Allspace. It is 215mm longer than the regular Tiguan, which does not have the Allspace badge. And almost half of that 215mm length has gone between the front and the rear wheels. What does all that translate into? Let's get in and find out. The quality of the cabin is quite up there, to be honest. The soft touch materials, they lend an air of richness to the whole experience when you sit inside. Yes, it is all dark, but it's very, very well built, and it's just all very typical Volkswagen stuff. I really like this multi-information display over there. It's nice and crisp. The lighting is very elegant, and you can go between layouts using this button, the view button over here. So yeah, you get three options, and one basically displays your speedometer and the rev counter. The other one just goes completely dominated by the phone connection that you have. And the third one basically gives you a few other readings like distance to empty and what is your average fuel economy that's been since the start of the journey. And then there is this nice big screen in the center. It is, first of all, angled very well, does not really catch and reflect any sunlight, which has been an issue with some other cars across the segments. It is also fairly responsible, does not show signs of any lag, and it's got the usual suspects, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, they're all very standard. All that is fine, but I'm quite shocked that wireless charger is not even an option on the Allspace, and it is being given as an option on the most basic of hatchbacks now. So not to get that one crucial item in such an expensive product is just very alarming. To list out the features, the one that would really catch your eye instantly is this panoramic sunroof. And interestingly, Volkswagen offers the Allspace with heated seats, which is strange because in our country, with our weather conditions, what we really want are ventilated and cooled seats rather than heated seats. So yes, perhaps Volkswagen could learn a thing or two from brands like say Hyundai and now even Kia. But there are other cool features, like you get cruise control, and there is also hill descent control. You also get auto hold function. So you really don't have to shift the gear lever into P every time you come to a signal. You just leave the car as is, engage the auto hold function, and then when the light turns green, just press on the gas and you're good to go. And it has a lot of airbags. It has curtain side and front airbags for the front occupants. The driver also gets a knee airbag, and then there are curtain airbags for the passengers at the rear as well. There are a whole host of things, but the two things that are of really big help are the cornering lights and the park assist system. Press this button over here, drive up slowly, and it's going to identify a space big enough for this 4.7 meter long vehicle, and it'll do the steering work by itself. You only have to keep control of the throttle and the brake. Yeah, and you're going to be parked fairly well in that space. Sticking to the cabin, let's talk about the practicality of the Allspace, because it is a fairly practical cabin and you get a lot of cubby holes, a lot of storage options. Like for example, there is this big box between the front seats over here. You also can rest your arm, of course. And then a couple of cup holders. You also have a big open space for storage right under the knobs and in front of the gear lever. So yeah, you know, that in addition to, there is this one slight bit of pocket sort of a thing right at the top of the dashboard. That is pretty good and comes in handy at times. And the secret storage option that the Tiguan comes with is basically under your seats. There is a nice drawer sort of a storage area that you get under the seat. So yeah, you can probably just keep some valuable items over there and nobody is going to notice. Now let's drift towards the Allspace part of the Tiguan Allspace. The most obvious reason that the Tiguan was stretched to be given the Allspace tag was to add a third row of seats, which are not really seats, they are torture thrones. If you're a fully grown human being, make sure that you do not have a neck and you've cut off your legs knee down, because otherwise you're not going to fit there at all. I tried it out, and because I'm sufficiently tall, it made for an absolutely ridiculous spectacle entering and sitting in the last row of seats. So we tried with a couple of other colleagues, and frankly, everyone complained. Even the shortest ones who were somewhere around 5 feet 2 inches tall, even they did not really have a very good time. Even with the second row of seats pushed just a bit forward, it was tough, and it also made the folks sitting in the middle uncomfortable. So yeah, the third row of seats, well, they're perhaps most usable for small kids, like really small kids. Don't think that you can get your teenagers back there, because they are going to make your life hell. Or maybe just use it for a pet, and just a single pet, because fitting 2 pets over there in the last row is again going to be stretching it a little bit. But the middle row can be fairly good. You know, it slides fore and aft, and it reclines as well. So you can get pretty comfortable back there. Still, it's best for 2, because there is a nice big transmission tunnel running in the center. So yeah, don't think that 3 will be comfortable. It's just very nice for 2 people at the back. Oh, and the rear seats, they fold fully flat and in a configuration of 40-20-40. So you get a huge loading bay if you fold out the third row seats as well. But if you really want S-class levels of space, just flip the front passenger seat down, and yeah, then you can lounge in reasonable luxury. But there is a catch to all this. The seats, well, they're not really the plushest out there. They're contoured very nicely, and yeah, you know, just the shape itself is very good. But the cushioning is rather hard, and I don't know, I think it is not really going to make for a very pleasant, very comfortable experience when you're sitting on them for long hours, for example. Which is a bit sad, because the Tiguan Allspace would make for a brilliant long-distance cruiser. At steady speeds, the NVH levels are very beautifully controlled. You can't really hear much of the world outside. And to top that, the Allspace also comes with lane keep assist. So you can basically either dig through the menu on the screen, or else just press this button over here on the steering wheel and select the lane keep assist. Now, if the lane markings are fairly good and, you know, nicely visible, then the car is going to identify the space and keep the car between those lines, and the steering is going to give you this slight movement every now and then, and you know, it's all just very cute. But it is going to give you a nice reminder that you have to get your hands back on the wheel after a few seconds. Now, the suspension is a big part of any long distance cruiser, and you would want a cushy ride. Unfortunately, things are on the stiffer side of the spectrum when you talk about the Tiguan Allspace. The undulations and bumps, well, they make their presence felt all the time on the road, and the suspension, it's not crashy, as in the whole compression does not really end, but it is definitely, because it's on the stiffer side of the things, when it lands managing a pothole or some big bump, it sounds a little crashy, and yeah, that can be a little disconcerting. But that stiff suspension must mean that the Allspace drives like it's on rails, right? Well, no, and it really should not matter as well, because this kind of a car isn't meant to go around corners like an excited mouse. Having said that, the high-speed stability is absolutely superb, and even around bends, the Allspace holds its line pretty confidently. Just drive it like a regular SUV and you'll be just fine. Don't pretend that you're driving a hot hatchback. Now, this 2-liter petrol engine, because the Tiguan basically comes only with the petrol now, it's nice and refined enough, but does not like to be stressed as such in this application. I would love to drive this engine in, say, a lighter, more purposeful car to basically see what these 190 horses can really do. But in the Allspace, it's nothing really to write home about. And a heavy right foot treatment is definitely going to see a massive drop in the fuel efficiency figures. I saw as low as 5 kilometers to a liter, but at that time, you're doing some very rapid performance runs. So yeah, and I saw a flash of a dwindling bank balance, so I just eased off. Volkswagen makes some very crispy dual clutch gearboxes, and this 7-speed is no different. It is very responsive and very likable. The Tiguan Allspace also has some driving modes. I implore you to not go into sport because, well, it does not really make any big change at all. For most part, I drove it in eco and normal, and they serve the purpose just fine. And whenever you're feeling a bit perky, just make use of these paddles. They're going to drop you a couple of gears down, and yeah, you'll get some dose of acceleration. It also has different modes for different terrains: snow, normal, and off-road. And off-road you can also customize to your liking. But make no mistake about it, the Allspace is not a proper off-road car. It is definitely going to go on, well, some beaten paths and some gravelly bits, but it is not a Wrangler. The Tiguan Allspace is quite like the regular Tiguan. Sensible, mature, no nonsense sort of a car. Just in this one, there is an extra row of seats, that is the third row. And you wish it did not have that, but fold it flat and then the Allspace tag makes all the sense. This is a likable car. Well, it has its big plus points and it also has its flaws. It's got this great greenhouse area, so it makes the car feel very airy, very light. And yeah, it also has a big list of feel-good features. But then it does not deliver on what it set out to be, a proper 7-seater that is. The suspension is not really the best out there, and yeah, it cannot really be called as suited for our really broken roads. The seats are firm, and then there is this issue of price as well. You can have a BMW X1 at around a similar price, and that brand has more prestige and more value in our country. So the Allspace may end up being a thinking man's 40 lakh purchase, and on that, I'd go with the Skoda Kodiaq.